Hey friends, welcome back to College Sports Corner. I'm Barry. We just got done with week 3 and it was a pretty good Saturday. About as good as the last 2 weeks we've had. If this rate keeps going, hopefully every Saturday we're going to have a very good day of games. This last one was really good. We had a couple of upsets. We had a couple of close games. So all in all, I thought it was a pretty good Saturday. So today we're going to go over news and headlines. We're going to go review those games. And let's get started because we got a lot of stuff to do. In case you didn't see it, here are the polls. Week 4, top 25 AP poll. Alabama 1, 2 Georgia, 3 Oregon, 4 Oklahoma, 5 Iowa, 6 Penn State, 7 Texas A&M, 8 Cincinnati, 9 is Clemson, 10 is Ohio State, 11 is Florida, 12 is Notre Dame, 13 Ole Miss, 14 Iowa State, 15 is BYU, 16 is Arkansas, 17 Coastal Carolina, 18 Wisconsin, 19 Michigan, 20 Michigan State, 21 North Carolina, 22 Fresno State, which I think they just jumped into the polls this week. I don't think they were in them last week. 23 Auburn, 24 UCLA, and 25 is Kansas State. Now your USA Today coaches poll. 1 Alabama, 2 Georgia, 3 Oklahoma, 4 Oregon, 5 Texas A&M, 6 Iowa, 7 Clemson, 8 Penn State, 9 Cincinnati, 10 Notre Dame, 11 Ohio State, 12 Florida, 13 Ole Miss, 14 Iowa State, 15 Wisconsin, 16 BYU, 17 Coastal Carolina, 18 Arkansas, 19 Michigan, 20 North Carolina, 21 Michigan State, 22 Oklahoma State, 23 Auburn, 24 UCLA, and 25 Fresno State. So there you go, your AP poll and your coaches poll. I found this also is pretty interesting. Losing streaks, longest acting FBS losing streaks right now. Number 1 is Arizona, 15 games. I don't know what's going on in Arizona. I don't know why nobody can go there and win. I don't know if they're not getting the recruits, if it's bad coaching or whatever. Maybe some of you Wildcat fans are watching. You can put in the comments what you think. The problem is with the Arizona Wildcats. I mean, I can't figure it out. 2 is Massachusetts, 14-game losing streak. 3 is UNLV, 9-game losing streak. 4 is UConn, 8-game losing streak. And 5 is Navy with a 7-game losing streak, which is kind of crazy because Navy's usually pretty good. I mean, I know they don't go 11, 12 wins undefeated every year, but by now, they would have been doing a lot better. So, I don't know. I'm sure he'll get it straightened out. He's a good coach. Okay, news and headlines. If anybody saw that Central Florida Louisville game last week, I think it was Friday night, they had a pretty crazy ending there where Central Florida's trying to come back and do all these laterals and everything. And I think finally got whistled dead with a penalty or something. But anyway, on that last play, quarterback Dylan Gabriel broke his clavicle. And they don't know when he's going to come back. There's really no timetable been mentioned, but I would imagine it's going to be a long time. Might even be the rest of the season. So anyway, prayers to you, Dylan. Hope you get better soon. Hope you're able to come back. Rutgers corner. This is a good one here. Rutgers cornerbacks Max Melton and Chris Long have been suspended after being taken into custody by police Monday night. Something to do with a paintball gun. From the charges, it said they're both in charge of aggravated assault and possession of a weapon for unlawful purpose. I don't know if they're going around shooting at people or pointing it at people. I don't know what they're doing. But anyway, that ain't nothing to joke around with. And if they're going to do that stupid stuff, hey, way to go. Clemson defensive tackle Tyler Davis is out with a torn bicep. And running back Lynn J. Dixon, he's entered the transfer portal. And from what I understand, that's going to really affect the depth of Clemson's running backs. Western Michigan coach Tim Lester tested positive for COVID, so he won't be on the sidelines this coming week against San Jose State. So prayers to you, Coach Tim. Hope you get better soon. The AAC conference has extended the contract for Commissioner Mike Arisco through 2025. I guess they're proud of the job he's been doing there. Little Austin Peay, their FCS team, I believe, is leaving the Ohio Valley Conference for the ASUN Conference next July. Austin Peay has been with the Ohio Valley since 1962. So they've been there a long time, and they're going to say, see ya, we're going somewhere else now. All right, Friday night game. Maryland 20, Illinois 17. Almost Illinois. Almost had a win there. Still looking for that second win there of the season. Normally, Maryland's got a pretty explosive offense this year, but for some reason, they couldn't do anything all that much against Illinois' defense. Illinois' defense played pretty good. Terps quarterback, I still don't know how to say these guys' names. Tagovailoa, whatever. I guess that's Tua's brother. Passed for 350 yards, but only one touchdown. Running back, Tayon Fleet Davis rushed for 62 yards, caught a touchdown pass, and ran for one. Terps had a total of 481 total yards. Illinois quarterback Brandon Peters, he was back from that injury. He got hurt in that Nebraska game, like very early in the first quarter, if I remember right. But he passed for 185 yards, but no touchdowns. Running back Josh McCray rushed for 60 yards and one touchdown. And wide receiver Casey Washington had a touchdown. We were just talking about Louisville, Central Florida. Louisville won 42-35. Louisville had 500 total yards in this game. Quarterback Mark Cunningham threw for 265 yards, one touchdown, one interception, rushed for 99 yards and two touchdowns also. Running back Jalen Mitchell rushed for 74 yards and a touchdown. Tight end Marshawn Ford had 8 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. Trevor Cooley had 2 receptions for 57 yards and a touchdown. And linebacker Jalen Alderman returned an interception, 66 yards for a touchdown. And like we mentioned, Central Florida's quarterback got hurt on the last play and don't know when he's going to return. Hopefully he'll be able to come back this year. Central Florida, though, they still have 420 total yards. Dylan Gabriel was 22 for 29, 188 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. He also rushed for 18 yards and an interception. Running back Johnny Richardson rushed for 100 yards on 9 carries. Wide receivers O'Keefe, Robinson, and Johnson each had a touchdown. Oh, man, okay. Oh, here's an interesting fact. Because of the schedule, this is Louisville's 3rd game in 12 days. I mean, that's like a game, averaging a game every 4 days. I mean, that is crazy. Central Florida is averaging over 622 yards a game, but the Cardinal defense held them to just 420. Syracuse 67, Albany 24. Orangemen were up 45-10 at halftime and racked up 633 total yards in that game. Running back Sean Tucker had a good day. He had 125 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. Not too bad. He also had 126 receiving yards and a touchdown. So really not. Boy, if you keep doing that all the time, you might be in New York there at the end of the year. But I don't know with that schedule coming up. Who knows? Defense only gave up 154 yards and sacked Albany's quarterback 8 times. Albany had 115 passing yards and 39 rushing yards. Still, they managed to score 24 points. And Syracuse had 16 penalties for 163 yards in that game. So, old Coach Dino, he's probably pissed about that. Boston College 28, Temple 3. Eagles move on to 3-0 behind their defense and their good running game they have. Coastal Carolina 28, Buffalo 25. Coastal Carolina moves to 3-0. They're slowly moving up in the polls. People might start talking about them here in a few weeks if they keep winning. Cincinnati 38, Indiana 24. Bearcat quarterback Desmond Ridder threw for 210 yards and a touchdown. He also rushed for 45 yards and a touchdown. Running back Jerome Ford rushed for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. Indiana quarterback Michael Penix threw for 224, 2 touchdowns, but he had 3 interceptions. Defense played good. They forced 2 turnovers in the first half. They led to 14 points. Offense struggled most of the day, especially in the red zone. And like I said, they turned the ball over 4 times. So when you do that, that's not going to get you a win. Big one down in Miami. Michigan State 37, Miami 17. Mel Tucker's got this team playing really good. They seem to be getting balance on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. They're looking pretty good right now. Peyton Thorne had 261 passing yards and 4 touchdowns. Running back Kenneth Walker rushed for 172 yards and caught a touchdown pass. Wide receiver Jalen Naylor was good for 82 yards plus 2 touchdowns. Like defense forced 4 turnovers in that game, and they held the Canes to only 52 rushing yards. Remember back in the day, some of those running backs that Miami had, they used to just blow through everybody, and boy, that just seems like so long ago now. The state that the Miami Hurricanes are in right now. But Miami did have 443 total yards. De'Ara King threw for 338, 1 touchdown, and 2 picks. Wide receiver Charleston Rambo had 12 receptions for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not too bad. Their defense gave up 18 points in the fourth quarter. This was the Canes' worst home non-conference loss since 1996, when they lost to East Carolina 31-6. So, Miami, I don't know if they're going to turn things around under Manny Diaz. They may have to look elsewhere in a year or 2 years, but you never know. He might do it. This game here, this was kind of, I don't know if you would say it was a shocker, or expected, because Oklahoma doesn't seem to be playing like Oklahoma, and Nebraska does seem to be getting better every week. Oklahoma won 23-16. Sooner quarterback Spencer Rattler had 214 yards and 1 touchdown. He also rushed for 35 yards and a touchdown. Running back Brooks and tight end Hall both scored touchdowns. Defense gave a strong effort. It's like Nebraska is almost there, breaking through to have a really good team and a really good season, but something is always stopping them. I don't know if it's offensive production or defense falling down when they shouldn't be, but I mean, they're like almost there. But, with the way things have gone the last few years, I don't know what's going to happen with Scott Frost. I like the guy. He's cool and everything, but I just don't know what's going to happen there. Quarterback Martinez from Nebraska went 19 for 25, 282 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He also rushed for 34 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Manning caught a touchdown pass. One of the biggest stories here is Nebraska's kicking game. It's horrible. They see that, and they would have won had the kicking game not been bad, because they left 9 points on the field Saturday. Like I said, they're improving. They're almost there. I mean, they're playing good except for the kicking. It's just, like I said, what's going on with Scott Frost there. Michigan 63, Northern Illinois 10. The Wolverines were up 35-3 at the half. They had 606 total yards, 373 were rushing, 233 were passing. They rushed for 8 TDs. Michigan is averaging 350 rushing yards a game. It's like that old ground and pound Big Ten. What was it? A few yards in the clouds of dust they used to call those running games and stuff back then. So Michigan's looking pretty good right now. Texas A&M 34, New Mexico 0. Aggie quarterback Zach Calzoza threw for 275, 3 touchdowns, and he had an interception. Running back Isaiah Spiller rushed for 117 and had a TD. Wide receiver Desmond Demas had 2 receptions for 100 yards and a TD. Aggies defense held the Lobos to just 122 total yards, 33 passing and 89 rushing, so the defense is looking good. They need to eliminate the mistakes, though, and the penalties, because they got Arkansas coming up next week, and we all seen what Arkansas has been doing this year. Aggies have been winning that. I think they've won the last few in that series, but this Arkansas team is a lot better than those last ones they've played the last few years, so they need to clean up some stuff this week. Missouri 59, Southeast Missouri 28. Tigers were up 38-0 at the half. They had 687 total yards in this game. Quarterback Connor Basilick went 21 for 30, 346 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Running back Tyler Brody rushed for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. Mizzou's defense held the Indians to just 69 passing yards, but gave up 294 rushing yards, so they need to work on that rushing defense a little bit. Kentucky in a close one. They beat Chattanooga 28-23. They kind of escaped, really. They came out flat in that game, but they did muster up enough to win. Quarterback Will Lewis had 246 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Mokes played a good game. Their total yards was 328. Wasn't impressive, but neither was Kentucky's. Theirs was 363. I'm sorry. It came down to the Wildcats having to receive an onside kick to end that game. So I don't know if they took Chattanooga lightly or I don't know. Maybe they're banged up a little bit from the last few games because they play a pretty physical game now. So who knows? Stoops will get on them this week, though. Tennessee, coming off that loss last week, blew out Tennessee Tech 56-0. Vols quarterback Hendon Hooker threw for 199 yards, 3 touchdowns, and ran for a touchdown. Backup quarterback Bailey ran for a touchdown as well. Running backs Wright and Evans, wide receivers Jones and Payton caught TD passes, and tight end Warren caught a TD pass. Vols defense held the Golden Eagles to 173 total yards, held them to just 37 rushing yards, so their run defense did pretty good in that one. Army 52, Connecticut 21. Army was up 42-0 at the half. I guess they decided that's good enough. Let's take a break for the rest of the game. This is a 52nd win for Army coach Jeff Monken. He is third all-time at West Point. That's crazy. I didn't realize that. There's a pretty good one here. West Virginia 27, Va-Tech 21. Mountaineers got off to a big start, 24-7 at the half, but they kind of let Virginia Tech come back into it. It came down to an incomplete pass at the goal line for West Virginia to win that game. You figured after a big start like that, they wouldn't let that happen. But wide receiver quarterback Jarek Doge threw for 193 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Running back Letty Brown rushed for 106 and 1 touchdown. Hokies quarterback Braxton Burmeister threw for 207 and 2 touchdowns. Raheem Blacksher rushed for a touchdown. Running back Holston caught a TD pass. Wide receiver Robinson caught a TD pass. And this was the Hokies' first road game. They had more chances to score, but it just didn't work out for their offense. Western Michigan 44, Pitt 41. This game was back and forth all day. It was a tight game. Broncos had 517 total yards in this one, and Pitt only had 489, but they still pulled it out by 3 points. This game was battle of the quarterbacks. Broncos quarterback Caleb Elby threw for 336 and 3 touchdowns, and Panthers quarterback Kenny Pickett threw for 380 and 6 touchdowns. So, a couple pretty good ones there. Minnesota went into Boulder, beat Colorado 30-0. Gophers ground game rushed for 276 yards and 4 touchdowns. Defense held the Buffalo to just 68 total yards in that game. 68 total yards. The kicking game needs work. They missed 2 field goals and an extra point, but I guess when you came out there with a win. Colorado could never get anything going on their offense, it seemed like. It's like they have the ball and they would just stall out. The last 2 games, the Buffaloes have only scored 7 points. Colorado haven't been. Here's an interesting fact. Colorado has been shut out at Folsom Field since 2012 by Stanford. The last non-conference team to shut them out at home was LSU back in 1979. So they've been pretty good there at Folsom Field. Kansas State 38, Nevada 17. This game was tied at 17 until the third quarter. Wildcats scored 21 in the fourth. K-State is 3-0 hitting in the Big 12 play. This one was a pretty good game. I watched this one. Notre Dame 27, Purdue 13. It was a close, tight game all the way really to the end. Until the Irish finally scored 10 points in the fourth quarter to win it. Irish quarterback Jack Cohn completed 50% of his passes, threw for 223 and 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver A.V. Davis had 5 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown. Running back Karen Williams had 2 touchdowns as well. Purdue quarterback Jack Plummer, he didn't do too bad. He was 25 of 36, 187 yards, 1 touchdown. Purdue running game needs work. They only have 57 yards on 25 carries. So I don't know if they don't have the manpower back there or they got some hurt guys or what, but they need to do this. All right, here's another interesting fact I found. So with this victory, Brian Kelly ties Newt Rockne with wins at 105. So this is Brian Kelly's 12th year at Notre Dame. In Newt Rockne's 13 years at Notre Dame, when he achieved all these 105 wins, he'd already won 3 national championships. So, not knocking Brian Kelly, I'm just saying, 12 years. Hey, Kelly's done 1 championship maybe. This one was a crazy game. Alabama 31, Florida 29. Oh man, this is the Tide's eighth straight win over Gators. The last time they did Florida won. Tim Tebow was the quarterback. Quarterback Bryce Young was 22 of 35, 233, three touchdowns, no interceptions. Running back Robinson Jr. had one rushing touchdown and one receiving touchdown. Bama was up 21-3 at the first, and I, like a lot of people, said, "Oh boy, here we go. What else is on?" But they couldn't keep the momentum going, and Florida kept coming back and making it a game. So I was pretty proud of Florida for doing that. Bama's defense looked good in the first half, but they were kind of shaky in the second half, allowing Florida to get back into it. Um, like I said, the Gators looked like they were going to get blown out in the first half. I was already looking to see what else was going on. But they battled back and became a good game. Emory Jones threw for 181 yards, no touchdowns. He did rush for one. Running back Davis and Pierce combined for three rushing touchdowns. Florida played a very physical game, offense and defense. Okay, I'm not a coach. I don't claim to be a coach. I will never be a coach. But a lot of people may not like this opinion. But that 2-point play was probably one of the dumbest plays I've ever seen. It's like neither one of them know who wanted to take the ball. They're both like hanging on to it, like stepping up to the goal line. And I mean, the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, what the hell are y'all doing? So, I mean, I've seen there's a lot of guys on TV saying, I don't know what kind of play that was, what they were trying to do. I've heard one of them lined up in the wrong place. I don't know. But either way, it was crazy. I was just like, what the hell's going on here? I mean, anyway, maybe it was designed like that. Who knows? Dan Mullins, he'll do some crazy stuff like that sometimes. Baylor 45, Kansas 7. Bears had 269 passing yards and 307 rushing yards. Jayhawks have 57 passing yards and 109 rushing yards. Baylor quarterback Jerry Bonham threw 2 touchdown passes and rushed for a touchdown. Kansas offensive and defensive lines, they need a lot of work. And they tend to play good for a quarter. And I don't know if they get tuckered out or they decide, oh, that's good enough. But they need to learn to play all 4 quarters if they're going to win another game this year. Akron 35, Bryant 14. This game was tied at 14 all the way up to the third quarter. Zip's offense finally exploded in the fourth, scoring 21 points. Rutgers 45, Delaware 13. Rutgers are 3-0 for the first time in 10 years. Good for them. Appalachian State 44, Alien 10. Mountaineers racked up 528 yards of total offense. Eastern Michigan 42, Massachusetts 28. UMass is still looking for its first win, like we mentioned back in the losing streak at the beginning of the show. Wake Forest 35, Florida State 14. Oh, Seminoles. I don't know what to say about you guys. I mean, I really don't. Demon Deacons have 484 total yards. Sam Hartman went 23 for 32, 259 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Running back Bill Smith and Ellison both rushed for touchdowns. Wide receiver Perry had 7 receptions for 155 yards and a touchdown. Seminoles had 236 passing yards, but only 91 rushing yards. That's one of those crazy stats when you think about all those great running backs Florida State has had over the years. They turned the ball over 6 times. It's like, God dang, no wonder why y'all are winning games. Defense gave up too many big plays. The tackling looked like it was optional. It looks like the coach said, all right, tackle if you want, do whatever. I don't care. Yeah, he may not care anymore. Who knows? Last time Florida State started off 0-3 was in 1976, and that was Bobby Bowden's first year. So, but hey, there you go. That fact right there. Maybe from now on, starting next year, going to start ripping off national championships left and right. Huh? It happened before. Clemson 14, Georgia Tech 8. Over the years, this has been a pretty good game, but this year is kind of lackluster. Tigers scored in the first and fourth quarters, and that was it. I mean, that was crazy from thinking about what we've seen from Clemson over the last several years, but that's it. Clemson, they got no problem with inferior teams, but when they get to a good team, I don't know. Maybe they just don't have the manpower this year. Who knows? At least their defense is good. It's keeping them in the games. Goal line stand at the end was incredible. Yellow Jackets' 7th straight loss to Clemson. Oregon State 42, Idaho nothing. Vandals have lost 17 of the past 18 to the Beavers. So they did win one game there and there somewhere. Iowa 30, Kent State 7. Hawkeyes quarterback Spencer Petras threw for 209 yards and one touchdown. Tyler Goodson ran for 153 yards and three touchdowns. Pretty good day for him. Tight end Laporta had a touchdown catch. Defense played lights out. Sacked Kent State quarterback 7 times in that game. It was Iowa's 300th win at Kinnick Stadium. Right now, a lot of these Big Ten teams are really looking good. Iowa, Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State. You could probably even throw a couple one-loss ones in there, Ohio State, Minnesota, or Wisconsin. As the season goes on, of course, we'll see who's good and who's not, or who's just average and who's, But right now, they're playing some good football up there. I know some of them have played inferior teams. I mean, like everybody does. But right now, I'm pretty impressed with the way some of these Big Ten teams are playing right now. But like I said, we'll see what happens throughout the year. Kent State was held to 271 total yards, 186 passing, 86 rushing. Quarterback Dustin Crum had decent numbers, 16 for 23, 185 yards, one touchdown. Golden Flashes actually came to this game averaging 360 rushing yards, but Iowa held them to 86. So that says something about Iowa's defense. Miami of Ohio, 42. Long Island, 7. There's Long Island back in it again, huh? They're finally done with that brutal FBS schedule now. They've been outscored 156-17 in these last 3 games against FBS teams. But hey, Long Island, man, you got guts going out there and playing these big schools. Good for you. Here's a wild finish. SMU 39, Louisiana Tech 37. That was a hell of a finish to a game. That game went back and forth, too, because I was kind of checking on it in between games and watching a little bit here and there. That last play was just crazy. Seconds running out, throw it into the end zone, tips the ball in the air. La Tech receiver or a SMU receiver comes down with it. And it's just heartbreaking for La Tech, but, I mean, Florida State knows about that. And anyway, it was a great game. That was a quarterback battle, actually, because SMU quarterback Tanner Mordachi, 75% completion rate, 395 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. SMU racked up 579 total yards. And La Tech quarterback Austin Kendall, 60% completion rate, 351 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. Bulldogs racked up 483 total yards. Ohio State 41, Tulsa 20. This game was pretty close into the half. This is the 3rd straight game C.J. Stroud has started off slow, and it showed in this game. But he finished the day 15 for 25, 185 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. On the other hand, Trayvon Henderson rushed for 277 yards and 3 touchdowns. And he actually broke Archie Griffin's 49-year-old freshman rushing record. So congratulations to him. Buckeyes defense has been off this year. I don't know what's going on there on that side of the ball. I mean, they played a little bit better in this game, but they've given up over 500 yards in the last 2 games, and that's just not Buckeye defense. And like I said, Tulsa wouldn't go away. Quarterback Davis Brin was 32 for 55, 428 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Passing game was real good, but the rushing game was horrible, 73 rushing yards. They played them harder than I thought they would, so kudos to Tulsa. They didn't get it done, but they gave them a fight for a while. USC 45, Washington State 14. Trojans looked sluggish and uninspired until their quarterback got hurt. Keenan Stovis is his name, I think. And then backup Jackson Dart came in. Everybody seems to love that name, Jackson Dart. And it's like he lit a fire under USC's ass. I don't know, because they're just like sleepwalking for the first part of that game. And then he came in, and it was just on fire from there. He went 31 for 47, 391 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did throw 2 picks, but it totally changed the direction of that game when he came in. Wide receiver Drake London had 13 catches for 170 yards, 2 touchdowns, not too bad. 2 other receivers, Bryant Jr. and Ford, had touchdown catches. USC is 61, 10, and 4 in that series against Washington State. I didn't realize that because I know Washington State has had some good teams over the years. I didn't know that series was stretched out that far in USC's favor. That's crazy. All right, Washington State. Their first 3 games they played at home, and they're 1-2. I mean, that kind of sucks for them, but it is what it is. Wyoming 45, Ball State 12. Cowboys move to 3-0. Cardinals fall to 1-2. Colorado State 22, Toledo 6. Rams got their first win of the season. Congratulations to them. Arkansas 45, Georgia Southern 10. Arkansas quarterback K.J. Jefferson went for 13 for 23, 366 yards and 3 touchdowns. Their defense held the Eagles to just 81 passing yards. Memphis 31, Mississippi State 29. If you ask me, Mississippi State, they're lucky they aren't 1-2. I mean, they just really haven't been playing all that well this year. They were up by 14, though, at the half. Quarterback Will Rogers had a pretty good day, 50 for 67, 419 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's not too bad. But they still lost. Maybe because of the lack of a running game, they only have 49 rushing yards in that game. Damn. Actually, both teams suck running the ball. Memphis only had 87 yards running the ball. But the quarterback, Seth Hennigan, went 16 for 28, 159 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Wide receiver Calvin Austin had a great day, 2 touchdown catches for 105 yards, and a 94-yard punt return for a TD. So that's a pretty good one from him. Battle of the Brains, Duke 30, Northwestern 23. Blue Devils were up 21-10 in the first in this game. Northwestern started to come back, but it was kind of a little too late. Tried to make a comeback, but just didn't work out. I don't know what's going on in Northwestern over there this year. I don't think they're going to win their division. Hey, but you never know. California 42, Sacramento State 30. Cal quarterback Chase Garbers threw for 288 yards and 2 touchdowns. Nico Ramingo returned the second half kickoff for a touchdown, so Cal gets the win. Washington 52, Arkansas State 3. Huskies, you finally got your first win. Dylan Morris threw for 367 yards and 3 touchdowns. Braylon Trice returned a fumble, 72 yards for a touchdown. Huskies, you need to keep this up because you start Pac-12 play next week. And hopefully you keep it going so you can get some more wins in there. Bowling Green 27, Murray State 10. Both teams are 1-2. East Carolina 42, Marshall 38. This is a cool side note. Some of you guys may have seen it, maybe not. Everybody knows about the Marshall plane crash that happened in 1970, I think, through things you see on TV and the movie, which I thought was pretty good. So Marshall, evidently, refresh your memory, was coming back from the game at East Carolina when the plane crash happened. Well, this Saturday, East Carolina, when they came to Marshall to play, the players that are still alive from that 1970 East Carolina game came to the game and went to the cemetery there to visit the graves and the memorial site from those players they had played, pay their respects. I thought that was pretty cool. There's a photo of all the East Carolina players there at the memorial marker in the cemetery. If you want to take a look at it, it's on ECU Athletics Facebook page. It's a really cool photo. I wish I could blow it up and hang it up because it's just pretty cool how they went and paid their respects for those guys they had played that night of that plane crash. So that's pretty cool. Florida Atlantic 45, Fordham 14. Owls had 278 passing yards and 248 rushing yards. UTSA 27, Middle Tennessee 13. Roadrunners just keep on winning. They're 3-0 this year. Liberty 45, Old Dominion 17. Liberty quarterback Malik Willis threw 4 touchdown passes and ran for 2 more. Georgia State 20, Charlotte 9. South Florida 38, Florida A&M 17. Both those teams are 1-2 now. Texas Tech 54, Florida International 21. Tech quarterback Tyler Show threw for 399 yards and 4 touchdowns. Defensive back Marquise Waters returned an interception, 72 yards for a touchdown. Houston 45, Grambling 0. Cougar running back Alton McCaskill ran for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. Georgia 40, South Carolina 13. Bulldogs quarterback J.T. Daniels went 23 for 31, 303 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Georgia's defense played well again, hold the Gamecocks to just 6 points in the first and 7 points in the fourth. They're just too physical for South Carolina. I thought South Carolina would give them, score more points, make it a better game than that, but I think the Georgia defense was just too much for them to handle. Troy 21, Southern Miss 9. Golden Eagles led this game 3-0 until the third quarter. And Troy scored 14 to go ahead, and the rest is history. Incarnate Word 42, Texas State 34, Battle of I-35. Those two, San Marcos and San Antonio, are separated by, I don't know, 30 miles maybe. Takes 30, 40 minutes to get there. Not too far from each other. Cardinals quarterback Cameron Ward threw for 4 touchdown passes. Another FCS over FBS upset to add to the list this year. San Diego State 33, Utah 31. Aztecs are 3-0. Utah is 1-2. What's happened to Utah? I mean, they've been good for the last several years, and I don't know what's going on here this year. I don't know. Kyle Whittingham needs to get things going over there. Here's a pretty good game. If any of you saw, I'm sure a lot of you did. Penn State 28, Auburn 20. That snaps a 5-game losing streak for Penn State over SEC teams. They've lost the last 5 times they played SEC teams. Sean Clifford went 28 for 32, 280 yards, 2 touchdown passes, and 1 interception. He seemed to make good decisions all that night. Stayed in the pocket, except for the 1 interception, but of that, he looked pretty good. He looked pretty good Saturday night. The running game is iffy. He only had 85 rushing yards. Lions have now beat Wisconsin and Auburn. If they get that running game going good every week, they could be one of the best teams in the country because their passing game is pretty damn good. Tigers had 367 total yards. Bo Nix was 21 for 37, 185 passing yards, but no TDs. Bo Nix didn't lose that game for him. He played decent, but at the same time, he didn't win that game for them. So, I don't know. Their running back, Tank Bigsby, ran for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns, so their running game was kind of getting it going. LSU 49, Central Michigan 21. Tigers, finally, the third game, starting to look like old LSU did. They're up 35-7 at the half. Max Johnson used several receivers in this game. 4 receivers caught touchdown passes, including Deion Smith, who had 5 receptions for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns. Max Johnson went 25 for 34, 354 yards, 5 touchdowns, and an interception. Running game wasn't as impressive. They only rushed for 85 yards and 1 touchdown. LSU's defense was physical. It looked like LSU defense of the past. They were flying around everywhere, making plays all over the field. I know it's Central Michigan, but still, Central Michigan is not some little FCS school, so they do have some talent there. Chippewas had 209 passing yards, but only 56 rushing yards. NC State 45, Furman 7. Wolfpack were up 38-0 at the halftime. Nice bounce back after losing to Mississippi State last week, who lost this week. So also that loss looking pretty bad. Oregon 48, Stony Brook 7. Despite the final score, this was a 10-point game at the half. Oregon just looked sluggish in the first half, like they didn't want to be there, or they were just taking Stony Brook for granted because it's Stony Brook. I don't know. They finally woke up in the second, though, and ended up with 436 total yards. I'm willing to bet that's what happened with Fresno when they played Fresno, because Fresno played them tough and throughout the whole game, so they may have been sleepwalking through Fresno and then said, oh, crap, we need to play. UAB 40, North Texas 6. Blazers quarterback Dylan Hopkins threw for 202 yards and 3 touchdown passes. North Texas finally scored their 6 lonely points in the fourth quarter. It took them 4 quarters to score 6 points. So, we got some work to do up there in Denton. Utah State 49, Air Force 45. Defense was optional in this game because it was an offensive shootout. Utah State only won one game last year, and this year so far they're 3-0. So they're having a good season. Big bounce back from last year. This one was a crazy game. North Carolina 59, Virginia 39. Tar Heels had 307 passing yards and 392 rushing yards. They ran the ball well. Sam Howell went 14 for 21, 307 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Also rushed for 112 yards. Wide receiver Josh Downs had 8 catches for 203 yards and 2 touchdowns. Running back Ty Chandler had 21 rushing attempts, 198 yards and 2 touchdowns. You see all this and you wonder what happened during the Virginia Tech game. How did Virginia Tech shut all this down? Was Virginia Tech's defense that good, or was it just first game, like we've talked about, first game jitters and North Carolina's shaking in their boots because first game? I don't know, but their offense has gotten a heck of a lot better, and they're going to be going far this year, I think, in the conference race and maybe even in the national race. Their defense was torched on the passing games because Virginia had 553 yards. But they held the Cavaliers' rushing yards to only 24. So the run defense is good. The pass defense needs a lot of work. Cavaliers quarterback Brennan Armstrong set a Virginia record with 554 passing yards, and he threw 4 touchdowns and 1 pick. Wide receiver Billy Kemp had 8 receptions for 106 yards and 2 touchdown catches. Offense played well, but the defense was a little questionable at times in that game. South Alabama 28, Alcorn State 21, Jaguars go to 3-0. Louisiana Monroe 12, Jackson State 7. Primetime wasn't happy with that performance by his team. Texas 58, Rice 0. Longhorns were up 44-0 at the half and ended up with 620 yards. Owls need a lot of work. They're both sides of the ball. They're just not looking good. New Mexico State 43, South Carolina State 35. Another battle of the brains we had this weekend. Stanford 41, Vanderbilt 23. Ole Miss 61, Tulane 21. They had a 2-hour weather delay. I'm sure you guys saw that. Rebels put up 709 total yards. Quarterback Matt Corral went 23 for 31, 335 passing yards and 3 TDs. He also rushed for 68 yards and 4 TDs. Is that right? Wow. Because that's right. That is some Heisman stuff right there. Their defense looks a lot better than it has been. Tulane quarterback Michael Pratt threw for 166 yards and 2 touchdowns. Defense was exposed, but their safety, Marion Clark, had 13 tackles. Here's one thing. Tulane played the hell out of Oklahoma. And from what we've seen, Oklahoma may not be that good because they had trouble with Nebraska. So I was thinking Tulane would do a lot better than this game, maybe give Ole Miss a good game. So the question is Oklahoma down this year? Or is Ole Miss way up? Because you got Tulane here that played them good and then sucked against Ole Miss. So it's a question for you kids to think about this week while you're sitting at work bored doing nothing. Okay, Oklahoma State 21, Boise State 20. Cowboys got off the blue turf for the 1 point. They're 3-0. And what happened to Boise? Boise's usually good every year. They're 1-2 this year. Woes continue for Arizona. Northern Arizona 21, Arizona 19. Another FCS upset to put on the list this year. Like we talked about, Wildcats' losing streak is now at 15 games. And like we said, how come nobody can win at Arizona? What's going on there? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they're not getting the recruits or they're getting recruits. They're just not developing them right. I don't know what's going on there. Trouble for another Arizona team. BYU 27, Arizona State 17. Cougars are 3-0 with 3 straight victories over Pac-12 teams this year. Sun Devils are actually have almost more than 100 total yards in this game, but mistakes and turnovers kind of killed it for them. Iowa State 48, UNLV 3. Cyclones Brock Purdy had an 87.5% completion rate, 288 yards, 3 touchdowns. Running back Breece Hall rushed for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Defense held UNLV to 94 passing yards and 41 rushing yards. So troubles continue there for UNLV. Fresno State 40, UCLA 37. I figured Fresno State would give them a good game. I didn't think they would win, but it's not after what Fresno State almost did to Oregon, which, by the way, they're probably kicking themselves in the ass for not winning that game now. But the way they played Oregon, I knew they would give UCLA a good game. I didn't think they were going to win, though. It was all about aerial attack. Fresno had 455 passing yards. UCLA had 278 passing yards. Both teams each rushed for under 120 yards, though. The running game was decent, but not great. Penalties hurt UCLA in this one bad. So all those penalties they had kind of killed it for them. That's probably why they only lost by 3 points. But anyway. In our late game that went on, depends on where you live. It ended almost between 2:30 and 3, I think. Here in San Jose State beat Hawaii 17-13. I love those late games when Hawaii has a home game and they don't start till like 11:30 or midnight here. To me, that's just like, candy for a kid, Okay, hey, so that's it. We'll be back Friday. We'll go over Thursday night's game. We'll preview Friday's game. We'll preview Saturday's games. We'll go over news and headlines and anything else. In the meantime, you guys be safe. Be careful. If you like the show, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers. Tell them if they're sitting there working on the computer, they can put it on their phone or their tablet, just listen to it in the background, and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss anything. You guys be careful. We will see you on Friday. Have a good one.